Welcome back, everyone, to the Real Talk podcast. I am your host, Liam Crowley, and on today's show, we will be reviewing Alex Garland's Ex Machina, as well as some topics in the world of movie news, and as always, our weekend box office update. Joining me, as always, is Mike Gillis. Mike, what's going on?
Hey, what's up, guys? Always happy to be here. I look forward to doing this every week.
Awesome. We're going to get right into it. We're introducing a new segment on the Real Talk podcast, a weekend box office update. I figured it would be appropriate considering there's always new news every week, and it's always interesting to see what movies range in what position at the box office. So with the box office report, we're just going to go through a top 5. Coming in at number 1 is Kingsman: The Golden Circle, making $16.93 million. Number 2 is It, making $16.9 million. Number 3 is American Made, making $16.7 million. Number 4, Lego Ninjago, making $11.6 million. And number 5, rounding out the top 5, is Flatliners, making $6.57 million. Mike, what are your thoughts on the weekend box office?
I've still yet to see Kingsman, but I'm excited. I am going to end up seeing it, hopefully, in the next coming weeks. Still happy. It's number 2. You know, it's still making a lot of money. It's
been out for about a month now?
Yeah, I'd say about a month. It is the highest grossing horror movie of all time, right?
Yeah,
I believe so.
Officially, yeah.
Which is awesome. It was great. I think it deserves that as of right now. And we got American Made. I still haven't seen, but I really want to see it.
Tom Cruise.
Yeah, I said before I was kind of like nervous. Oh, what's going to happen with this movie? But I've heard it's excellent, and I really want to see it. And Ninjago, well, it's Lego, so the kids are going to see that. And Flatliners, I'm really mad it's making any money because it looks terrible.
It does. It looks very bad.
Pretty bad.
An interesting thing I had to say about the box office was the top 3 were all within less than $1 million of each other, which is very rare.
That's
because
close.
Usually there'll be at least a divide between the number 1 film and the number 2, just because the number 1 usually is just being introduced into theaters.
Yeah.
Kingsman has been in theaters for about 2 weeks now, I believe. It, obviously, about a month. American Made, this was its first weekend.
Yeah,
I
it
believe.
was.
So
I'm not surprised it's a number 3. It's a powerhouse. It's
for sure. But still, $16.7 million is nothing to be ashamed of necessarily. But with a Tom Cruise movie, you would kind of expect a bigger audience.
Pretty big.
Lego Ninjago, I believe it's been out for 2 weeks now.
Yeah.
11.6, nothing special. I mean,
it's not as good as it's not as good as the first 2.
Yeah, it's making money, but in the first 2 Mike's referring to not Ninjago movies, but Lego movies in general with Lego Batman and
the Lego movie,
right?
Which I love. The first Lego movie was a very good movie.
Yeah, it's an interesting time for it to come out because obviously it's a kids targeted audience. Yet it's September and well now October obviously, but it's kind of a weird month because kids are mostly focused on school at this time, not really going to the movies. So don't necessarily...
October, September is horror movie month.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's not much good coming out.
Yeah,
it was like, and it's smart of it for it coming out in early September. It's just smart of it.
I know the original Lego movie came out in January, which I thought was very smart because
perfect timing.
That's right around, well, obviously after Christmas break, but right around the time where people are going to the movies because it's cold out. And then I know Lego Batman came out in March, I believe. Yeah. And so also a good time for that. While with Lego Ninjago coming out in September.
Just an odd placement.
Odd placement for it. And Flatliners, it just looks like your generic.
It's a remake.
Yeah, I know. I do know it's a remake,
of a Kevin Bacon movie, I believe.
Yeah, I think so. But it just looks like a direct-to-DVD movie. I'm not gonna lie. There's nothing special about it.
I've heard who's the actress? Who's the main actress in that?
She was Kitty Pryde in X-Men.
Yeah,
I know that.
She was supposed she's supposed to
Ellen
be pretty
Page,
good. Yeah,
I think so.
Supposed to be pretty good now. Being that, I don't know.
This is something for her, I guess, because she gets a star in it at least. Any notables that were left off the list? I noticed Mother wasn't on there, but I
still haven't seen it.
It's a controversial film.
I really wanted to,
and I guess
I might wait for Blu-ray though.
Yeah, because the director, I forget his name. But I do know he wrote the script in about 5 days because he had a lot of frustrations with the world, and I think it was filmed in under 2 months. And so the fact that it was kind of a rushed movie, despite being interesting in its premise, that will kind of hurt it when it comes to box office. Another notable left off the list. Mike, did you have a notable that you didn't see on the list?
Not really. Everything seems to be in its place, right?
Yeah, I would say so. What was the director's name? Oh, Darren Aronofsky, yeah. He has made great films in the past, and obviously I can't judge Mother because I haven't seen it yet, but I think it is a very bold movie to make, and I still think people should go out and see it. But,
Some people, you need to see different things. If you're seeing the same thing all the time, you're not watching movies.
Exactly. So I think that will round out our weekend box office update. All right, our first story of the day is Daniel Craig wanting Denis Villeneuve to direct Bond 25. Now, Denis Villeneuve is one of my favorite directors upcoming in Hollywood today. He's made such notables as Prisoners, which was nominated for Best Cinematography in 2013, which starred Jake Gyllenhaal and Hugh Jackman. Sicario, nominated for Best Cinematography, Best Original Score, Best Sound Editing in 2015, and starred Emily Blunt and Benicio del Toro. Arrival last year was nominated 8 times, including Best Picture, Best Director, and it won for Best Sound Editing. Starred Amy Adams, Jeremy Renner, Forrest Whitaker, and obviously his new movie Blade Runner 2049, which we'll get into later, but it's supposed to be phenomenal, obviously starring Ryan Gosling, Harrison Ford, and Jared Leto. The news that Daniel Craig wants Denis Villeneuve to direct Bond 25 really excites me.
Yeah.
Because Bond hasn't grasped my attention in a while. I wasn't very impressed with
Spectre?
Spectre.
Was that the last one?
Yeah, I wasn't very impressed with that one. And this idea of Denis Villeneuve stepping into the director's seat for James Bond really excites me. Any thoughts, Mike?
It's like 25 Bond movies. It's come in
They've come
a long way.
Yeah.
And they started off real good and they dipped and they came back up and they're dipping again. And Daniel Craig's a great Bond. He of course people have said this before. He brings such a different flavor to the Bond character. But I'm excited for this. I'll see a new James Bond movie. They're always a pleasure to go and see.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, they've gone many different directions. They've had the silly campy Bond movies with what's his name from Mamma Mia?
Pierce Brosnan.
Yeah. He was kind of a campy Bond.
Of course, the original Sean Connery.
Yeah.
I still think it's the best Bond.
Absolutely.
Dr. No is one of the greatest.
I think Daniel Craig
movies.
is a great James Bond. He's very recognizable as James Bond, but I don't think he's
for this generation.
I don't think he's anywhere close to what Sean Connery brought to the table.
Yeah.
And that will actually transition perfectly into our next topic about Blade Runner 2049, Denis Villeneuve's new movie. And the reviews for this movie so far have been phenomenal.
Yep. Very happy.
Yeah, just to read a few quotes. We have Stuart McGurk from GQ magazine said, Villeneuve has not only just lived up to lofty expectations, but has surpassed them completely. Joshua Rothkopf, I think I'm pronouncing that right, from Time Out magazine, says, immersing you in a complete now. Blade Runner 2049 is the thinking person's sci-fi event of the year. And Pete Travers from Rolling Stone magazine says, Villeneuve's dazzling sequel is on its own march to screen legend. Gosling and Ford are double dynamite in a mesmerizing mind-bender that asks new questions meant to tantalize, provoke, and keep us up at nights. Would you have it any other way? It currently sits at 95% on Rotten Tomatoes. Mike, what are your thoughts on the early Blade Runner 2049 reviews?
I'm very happy because the sci-fi movies that are coming out are, they're action movies. They're so heavily based on what's happening. Oh, look at the spectacle. But when you're finally having not to say other sci-fi movies aren't intelligent, but an intelligent film that's telling a story with a very important meaning, I'm very excited to see this.
Yeah,
absolutely. My hopes are extremely high, and I'm glad that the hype is it's coming up for it to be a good movie.
For sure. And yeah, we reviewed the original Blade Runner last week, and it was my first time seeing it in preparation for the review. And I wasn't blown away as much as people hyped it up to be, but after thinking about it more, I realized how beautiful of a movie it is.
You gotta sit on it for a while.
It seems silly to say, to call just a sci-fi movie beautiful, but honestly, the message you get from it, with that quote still sticks with me, will be lost like tears in rain. That's just such a poetic aspect of the film. And yes, I do love the original Blade Runner more after thinking about it, but I still felt the original was missing something. And so this idea of 2049, I didn't include the quote, but some people are saying it surpasses the original. They quoted it as one of the rare sequels that is better than the original. And so that gets me really excited because, yes, there are sequels that are better in modern times with modern series, but with a movie like this that's essentially, it's not a remake, but it's a sequel. It's a sequel, but it's
years later.
I wouldn't call it a reboot, but it's what The Force Awakens is. It's bringing the franchise
back to a new audience for today.
And
I'm glad it's not pandering. Because it would be this big action stuff, but I'm glad they're saying it's this intelligent, thought-provoking movie.
Yeah, and just some words that jumped out to me from the quotes. Rathkop's quote when he called it a sci-fi event. Those are the movies that gravitate towards me because they're not just movies, they're events. You feel hyped going to them. It's almost like a sporting event or a concert. You feel like there's something more than just a movie there, that there's something that you're going to take away from this experience. Tangible,
like you can touch it.
Exactly. So this idea that it's an event, just like a Star Wars or a Marvel movie, it gets me really excited. Also, Pete Travers calls when he says that asks new questions, and that's something
I'm excited.
I really like, because a lot of movies these days, we're going to talk about Ex Machina later, but again, it's a great movie, but it asks the same question of what is like to be a person, you know? Yeah. And so that's not necessarily a problem, but at the same time, it's very exciting to get new questions brought to the table when we feel like we've almost answered everything. Yeah. Any final thoughts on Blade Runner 2049?
I'm very excited to see it. I'm just happy it's good. You know, like I was like worried as I am for most, like even though this isn't a reboot, it's a sequel.
Right.
But like it's good that like you can take a story that's like been told and add on to it instead of just doing the same thing again.
Absolutely.
To continue something it's just way more powerful than just like, okay, we need to make a sequel, let's just throw something together. But like it's been years since Blade Runner has been in like a theater as a new movie. So I think that's why it's so good. It's had years to sit and like people look at, let's do this, let's finish this, and make a good movie.
Yeah, and I'll be really interested to see what the weekend box office brings, because as we know, the first movie was not. It was not a critical success or a box office success.
No,
it took years for people to really get the message. So I'm excited for this one, because not only do people now understand the message, but they have actors like Ryan Gosling and Jared Leto who are going to put people in the theater. Harrison Ford, of course, but like with a modern audience of bringing in these modern talents. And the hype and the marketing around this movie has been astronomical. So I know for sure if I can't see it this weekend, it is Memorial Day weekend. So not Columbus Day weekend.
Where are we?
Yeah, obviously. But if I can't see it this weekend, this is one of the movies. Yeah. A lot of times I'll have a movie where I'm like, I want to see it. This is what I call a priority movie.
I'd see this over Kingsman.
See this movie. Oh, absolutely, for sure.
I'm just like, I'm hoping moviegoers like it's mean to say, but the modern moviegoer sits there with his big like nacho plate and he's staring at the screen, not paying attention on his phone.
The classic chicken tenders at the movies. Yeah.
I'm just hoping that people really watch this movie and take something away from it. Yeah. Because I think that's what really movies are for. Like they're to tell stories and meanings.
Right, absolutely. That will actually transition perfect again into our next topic about Jared Leto, obviously starring in the new Blade Runner movie. He is going to star in Brett Ratner's Hugh Hefner biopic. Obviously, the news that Hugh Hefner passed this past week, I believe.
Last week, I believe.
Last week, yeah. Very sad news, but this idea of this Hugh Hefner biopic really excites me because it's a good story that can be told, but at the same time, I do have my hesitations with Brett Ratner.
Yeah. I haven't seen many of his movies, but X3, not a good movie.
Yeah, X-Men The Last Stand, regarded as the worst X-Men movie, which I would probably agree with. Hercules, I saw in his filmography with The Rock. I know you put The Rock in any movie, he's supposed to like put people in the seats. It really didn't. It's one of The Rock's most forgettable movies.
Yeah, I forgot it happened, honestly.
So when you look at his filmography, it doesn't get me very excited for this biopic. But the fact that Jared Leto signs on, who is notable to be very picky with his like scripts, it's interesting to see that there must be a good script. There must be something here that would gravitate Jared Leto towards this. And also Jared Leto being a character actor, it'll be very interesting to hear the stories that happen on this set about Jared Leto really engulfing the persona of Hugh Hefner.
Yeah, I feel like Hugh Hefner's story is a story to tell. As I do, like even like no matter who you are, everyone's story should be told, and I think Hugh Hefner has an interesting story. Rags to riches, definitely,
absolutely.
And I'm excited to see what this is going to be like, but I do not have my hopes set high just because of the director attached to the project.
Yeah, I have hopes considering it's Jared Leto because I can't think of a performance of his that I haven't liked, because he seems to the Joker. I'm not going to fault him.